What are you guys doing different? What is unique about how you're developing this and putting it together?
Now it's time to come in and say, hey, let's take what you have and get it to the next place.
Welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs, growing 1% everyday podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Art of Kaizen for Entrepreneurs podcast, where we get to discuss how to grow 1% every single day in both business and in self. Today, we have a master website developer, Nicholas Reed from 253 Media, and his team are developing cutting-edge Shopify and Webflow websites that not only look beautiful, but convert customers into sales, customers into leads, and move your business forward. Before we have Nick jump on, his website looks so beautiful that I need to show you guys this at the start of this video. Look at this site here. This is a Webflow site that right now just has the animation that flows. You can see all the businesses that he's been working with, the success that he's had, and look how beautiful this is, guys. The call to actions are there, the structure's there. Nick, doing an incredible job and obviously helping businesses out every single day. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Kyle, I am stoked to be here, man. This is a ton of fun. I'm glad we were able to finally make this happen. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, man. And you're on the cutting edge of what the internet itself has for placements for businesses. So as a business owner, obviously you want your business online. You need to be seen, you need to be heard. And the first place is a website. Where did people normally go? They go after the free Wix website, or maybe a WordPress website, which is one of the longest lasting site holders in existence. But Webflow and Shopify are the two leading ones that I think are really breaking the industry. And your team is taking that in stride. Can you give me a little background on how you started the company, why you're doing Shopify and Webflow specifically, and kind of your goals of this company overall?
Yeah, totally. So we started officially in 2017, I'd say unofficially in 2016. We actually started off as an ad agency. So focusing on lead gen, focusing on driving sales for automotive. So dealerships, service shops, stuff like that. Grew that for a few years. And what we realized was you have these platforms that you can get really good click-throughs from. You're getting great results on platform like on Meta and Google. But the problem is when you click through to a website to actually convert that lead, that customer into an actual customer, they were falling short. And so we started doing landing page. We started building these websites out. WordPress was brutal, not fun, constant updates, plugins breaking, like all the nightmare you've heard of. We found Webflow. This was in the earlier days of Webflow. It was definitely not nearly as robust as it was now, or is now, I should say. And so we started using Webflow. It became one of the most powerful tools we'd ever seen. On the e-com side, exact same thing. We were running ads and they were working well on platform, but we would send them these landing pages, these product pages that just weren't working very well. So we got in there, started building out our own processes, started learning how to use Shopify back when Shopify was not as powerful as it is now, and it was very drag and drop, very rough to use, and started building things out there to really build out a system where you have your pre-click and your post-click, and really that laid the foundation for our entire philosophy now of, you need to have a fluid system throughout the entire customer journey. And so since then, really I'd say probably over the last 4 or 5 years now, really nailing that post-click experience has really been where we started to find our stride, and really nailing, creating that complete experience from, product discovery or brand discovery all the way to, brand evangelist at the end. So that's really why we started using Webflow and Shopify.
For the entrepreneurs and business owners listening to this, that is so critical what he just brought up. He is an individual that stood in the space where he got businesses in front of customers and then realized it wasn't enough. Realized that he had to dive into what actually converted the customer, which most people, if you're just starting off a business, your website is your salesperson. And if you have a bad salesperson, you're not getting revenue for the company. And that is what that we're talking about today, is that post-click, aka after they go from Facebook, Instagram, Google, whatever it might be, and they hit your website, they have to convert. And his team here is really diving. Nicholas is taking the two best platforms that give you the opportunity to really excel the look and feel of your company and synergizing that to the actual sales process to make sure you can grow. Super intelligent, Nick. I mean, honestly, the structure that Webflow and Shopify have to offer, I think, are the best in the world. Is there, when you're looking at these platforms, let's have two different degrees of conversation here. Start off with one. New business owner. I'm an e-commerce business, or I'm a home improvement business or a high ticket business, whatever it might be. and I need to develop a website. Why would they go with Webflow if they're a lead generation or a local based business, or Shopify compared to everything else? Is it the plugins? Is it the accessibility? Where's really the difference? And why would someone that's just starting off want to use these platforms?
Yeah, let's talk ecom first. That'll probably be the easier one. We see a lot more newer businesses going to Shopify for a few reasons. One, you can start off with the Shopify theme at the beginning level for, a beginner business owner. Shopify makes it really easy to get your foundation done. Creates a good foundation, but it's also very scalable. So when you start off, you're doing, $1,000 a month. You get to 10,000, you get to 100,000, you get to 1 million a month. You can still keep using that same platform. You don't need to re-platform from, WordPress to Shopify. Just get started on the right foot the first time. With that also being said, Shopify makes it really easy to manage your business. You have your inventory, you've got your marketing tools, you've got your attribution, you've got your customer management. Everything is right there in one place, which really makes it the gold standard. Plus, you don't have to worry about other stuff breaking. So you don't have to worry about hosting and your domains and all your SSLs and all that kind of stuff. You can really think about, hey, I have a reliable platform so that as a business owner, you can focus really on what matters most, and that's growing your business, not worrying about your website. So with Shopify, that makes it really easy. Now, with Webflow, on the other hand, Webflow is a little bit more complicated. Now, you can get Webflow templates. They are very, very good. Oftentimes they're overkill though. But what we see with Webflow, and the reason why people like Webflow, is you can do anything you want, right? You're not stuck in a box. You're not stuck in a theme, from Squarespace or Wix or some of these other platforms out there. You can really do whatever you want. And what's nice about that is every business is unique, right? You're not a templated business. Why have a templated website? With Webflow, you can have that, built for you look and feel. You can have that branded look and feel. Plus, on the growth side of that, the CMS allows you to build stuff like landing pages, new offers, stuff like that. Makes it easy to manage, which is really nice. You're not having to custom code stuff. You can use right in Webflow, all the tools there. As a business owner, Webflow also has a ton of documentation and resources to really help you out. So as you're getting started, you can learn how to use it. You have that library, they have that university where you can actually go and learn how to use your site. We see it all the time. People use WordPress and it's very complicated. It gets tricky and they don't know how to use it. They're actually scared of breaking their website. And Webflow is not really the case with that. You have a lot more control over it from, as easy as you want to be all the way to as complicated. And then it's scalable. So SEO wise, ad wise, you have a lot of the tools natively that some other platforms don't have to really make it easy to grow your business too. So I would say those are probably the two big reasons to use either one of those platforms.
Incredible overviews. I mean, Shopify being a simple templated platform that allows you to get into a space that scales, grows, and works with you and is very easy to use. Where Webflow gives you the customizable factors that you would only find if you were looking at this 10 years ago from a fully custom website, which just got off a call with someone this morning who paid $200,000 for a fully custom website, where if the Webflow they developed on Webflow, they would have got the same thing for a tenth of the cost, right? So understanding that all the potential is there for you on Webflow and that it gives you the opportunity to really be customizable, but still have a rock solid foundation. Now let's move into the conversation with the people that are already doing this. Maybe they're already in Shopify. They already have a WordPress site or maybe even potentially a Webflow site. Let's talk about how you guys at 253 Media are doing it differently. If they're in the position where they're currently using Shopify or maybe even already in Webflow, why would they want to connect with you at 253 Media? What are you guys doing different? What is unique about how you're developing this and putting it together?
Yeah. So big thing I mentioned earlier, we started off as an ad agency, and I think that's a very unique thing about us. Most website, agencies, whether they're design, dev, anything website related, they usually don't start off as ad agencies. And I think that's a very unique thing about us because it gives us that thought process of this website needs to perform for your growth, right? So the best thing in the world, the best example here is you can have the best ads in the world, you can have the best emails, you can have the best marketing team in the world, but if you're sending them to a website that doesn't work with those strategies that you're doing, nothing's going to work. So for us, we think of it from the marketing perspective, not necessarily from the arts perspective, the design perspective. Our whole goal, our whole philosophy with every website is the website's whole purpose is to give your customer the information they need to make an educated buying decision. So when we put our marketing hat on, now we're building a design around what that customer actually needs to become a customer. Now you can look at your data, you can understand what people are submitting to customer service question wise, but from a conversion standpoint, it really comes down to making it clear, making it easy, and making your business the right option for your customer to spend money. So when someone comes to us, they're either looking to revamp their site because they're rebranding. Maybe they've outgrown, their current offers and their current site. Maybe they're going through and, hey, we want to have a totally new experience. We want to appeal to a new audience, right? We see it a lot where, a business gets started, they're going after one audience. As they grow, as they develop, they start going after, a more sophisticated audience. They start reaching out to different audiences. Now their website doesn't match, right? So we always want to make sure that the website is matching what you're pushing for your marketing. So when people come to us, we want to make sure that that is perfectly in sync. So looking at your analytics, looking at your data, going through your customer service records, stuff like that, that is really where we start to come into play and say, hey, you've got started. You've done a really, really good job getting started, getting to the point. Now it's time to come in and say, hey, let's take what you have and get it to the next level. Let's start getting those conversions more dialed in based on what you've already been doing and how we can improve that. So that's really, I would say, that next level is you get your foundation done, and now it's time for a little bit more. You start leveling up.
Nicholas, I mean, such a huge point. I know every Shopify owner out there that's listening to this right now, that resonated with you because you probably went out there and spent X amount of dollars on developing a website. And then 3 to 4 months later was told that you needed to find a CRO expert. You need to find a conversion rate optimization expert to go in there and update your website. Where if you were to work with 253 Media, the website would have came out in a position that was already optimized for success. It's a huge differentiator. And it's not the same. Nick, you're 100% right. There's people that can go out there and build a Shopify store. I can hire somebody off Fiverr that would do it for $100. But the whole point of having the store is not to own a store, it's to get sales. So if it's not designed to get sales, it is just a waste of cash. So I love that. The 253 Media, from their perspective of the media buying that they were previously, to bring that into the website development so that there's a synergistic structure of how the actual website is supposed to work with the finances and the revenue and the goals that you have in business. So I love that. Nick, are you working? Go ahead.
Actually, I have one more note to put on there. So one thing you said was you can build a website, 4 or 5 months later, you start bringing that CRO expert. Really interesting you said that, because that is really the case, right? Your website, and I think a good note that a lot of people don't realize is your website's never done, right? Your website is a work in progress. So as your customers develop, as you develop different ad angles, stuff like that, your website needs to be really built around what you're currently doing. As your business grows, website needs to grow too. And where a lot of these business owners that get stuck is like, oh, I built a website, a year ago. Well, your business has changed over the year. You might be pushing the same products, the same pricing. Ads have changed. Customers have changed. You have a lot of new stuff going on. And if your website's not changing dynamically around what your business is doing, you're really going to start seeing that performance go down 9 times out of 10. So you're totally right. I mean, you do need to have that website being constantly updated. You need to have things continuing to mesh. Just building a site, that's 90% of it, but then you got to keep it going. Really start getting it better over time.
And is that your ideal client? Who walks into 253 Media and you're like, we're about to knock it out of the park? Is it new startups that are just coming in and looking to build something? Is it somebody that's been in the space for a while and needs that optimization that you guys can bring into it? Who's the ideal client for you guys?
It's a great question. And I would say a little bit of both on there. So I think because we have our foundation builds, we have our CRO department also, it can be both. Now, I'd say for us, the best brand is someone who is ambitious, right? We're ambitious. We like to move quickly. We like to do big things. If you don't want to move quickly and do big things, you're probably not the right fit for us. Number 2, someone who actually understands the entire marketing system, right? So content is key. I always say that, the difference between a bad website and a good website is structure, but then the difference between a good website and a great website is content. And so you need to be able to have a business that has content coming in that not only is driving your ads, but also you need to think about content for the website too, right? So a business that takes that seriously. We see it all the time and honestly, the businesses that struggle are the ones that aren't investing resources into creating content. Now, you don't need to have these elaborate photo shoots and video shoots all the time, but you need to have some level of content strategy. So that's the big thing there. And then number 3, I would say the biggest thing is having a good product, right? We see businesses come to us and they have really crappy products. And it's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do, man. Your product sucks. So that is something that is challenging, and I mean, obviously, marketers we like to have challenges here, but a product that has a clear differentiation, a product that has been, not just relabeled from AliExpress and Alibaba, like We like to have products that are actually having an impact with their customers.
Love that. And I think those three align with the structure that you're putting in place, right? The three aspects of content development, they have to be
Mhm.
passionate about what they do, and that product has to be good. You can't polish a turd, man.
Yeah,
At the end of the day, unfortunately,
so true.
a lot of businesses come out and it's no matter what. Yes, if your product is so good, you won't even have to talk to us. You won't have to talk to any marketer. It will sell itself, right? Tesla is a great example. They don't do any advertising. But a lot of times when you enter into the market, you have to have a differentiator, even if it's an innovation to a current product. There needs to be a
Mhm.
differentiator. You got to lean into that. And again, if you're listening to this and you're an e-commerce business or or a business looking for a website, talking to someone like Nicholas in the 253 Media will put you in the position to not only understand what kind of website you need, but how to develop it for sales and put yourself in a position
Mhm.
to separate out that outlier, that defying factor that you have in your business to bring in the success. I love that, Nick.
Yeah.
But to have that level of confidence and to be able to be in the position that you are, where you've transferred from media buying and a paid ads agency to a
Mhm.
website development agency, you got to go through some trials and tribulations. You got to go through some failures, right? So, is there any failure that you can think of or challenge that your team has faced over the last few years that would resonate with the listeners here or potentially change the way that you look at business?
That's a good question. I think there's probably a few things. Timing, I would say, is probably one of the biggest failures right there. Uh, Timing is tough, especially when you have very challenging product projects, right? Projects, not every website is the same. You have some that are very, very complicated. And I would say as a failure, that would probably be the biggest thing is how can you go and turn something that's very complicated, right? And make it easy. So number one, I don't want you to be stuck to me, right? I want to be able to build something that can be managed by your team and that you can really use and be confident using. I'm a huge proponent of, your marketing team being able to use your website. I don't think that any website should ever be tied back to the developer. So that is something and having that timing of being able to say, hey, we can build you something quickly that is very complicated that you can also use. And so I would say like over the years, and I think we've done a really good job of reducing that and knowing how long things actually take. In the early years when we were going from, paid media over to websites purely, we overshot some timelines pretty bad. And it's funny, and I'd say we're pretty good about it now. We don't miss deadlines very often. But I would say that would probably be the biggest failure we've had is a couple of those just going a little bit longer than we expected.
And
So,
that probably resonates with so many listeners out here. If you've paid to develop a website, there's very few companies that stick to a timeline, and you got to be understanding it's because there's bugs, there's issues that come
mhm,
up, and sometimes your request as a business owner is so freaking absurd that it doesn't even exist, and we got to figure out how to build it. It takes a little bit of time, you know. So I definitely feel you on that one. But timing, big factor.
yeah,
Timing across the board. And for every business owner, timing is a factor. Timing is a factor for when you release your promotion, when you update your website, when you actually optimize your CRO in certain positionings. Right now, if you're a Shopify store owner, this will come out probably a little bit after Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But if you didn't have a full CRO breakdown 2 months prior to Black Friday or Cyber Monday, you had a lackluster sales season. It's what happens. As you said, Nick, you are constantly changing your business. You're constantly changing your approach. You have to be changing your website too. It is your salesperson. So let's talk about a little bit more into the future. Webflow is a
cool,
relatively new platform, right? It's been around for probably about
mhm,
5, 6 years. It still not has been adapted across the board. But in my mind, Shopify and Webflow are the two top tier platforms that we can design websites on outside of fully
mhm,
custom, right? Those two allow us to do things that I believe can put in animations, automation structures, and an easy flow for you to be able to look good, sell, and have a good overall structure. But where do we think the industry is going in the next 3 to 5 years? Do you think that we're going to have another overhaul or maybe a new platform like Webflow enter into the market that will change things? From your expertise, what do you see changing here?
yeah, it's a great question. I don't see necessarily another platform coming in. What I really see is how consumers use websites is changing and how our as developers and as marketers, how we're changing that post click to match our customers better. So what I think is going to start happening is more personalization. So for example, you go and you buy a t-shirt from someone like Built Basics or Cuts Clothing, someone like that. You buy a t-shirt. Well, you now are in their ecosystem and they know you bought a t-shirt. They know where you bought the t-shirt from on your phone or your computer. Why would you go to their site next time and say, here's t-shirts? Well, why wouldn't I try to sell you some pants that match that t-shirt? You bought a black t-shirt. Why don't I sell you some nice pants too? So having a personalized experience that is tailored to exactly how you've been there before, right? So maybe you're a first time customer. We're going to show you our best stuff, right? Show you the stuff that you're most likely to buy. Now, let's say you are a returning customer. Why don't we show you other stuff that maybe you haven't purchased yet, or maybe, a different color in something you purchased a long time ago, and tailor the entire experience around. So to me, I think that with the rise of AI, with a lot more of these dynamic functions that are coming up, I see a lot more personalization, a lot more dynamic experiences built around a similar framework, right? The framework doesn't necessarily change, but what's being presented, what content's out there, what messaging is out there on the site, that is going to be changing. And I think that's over the next 3 to 5 years, I think that will be the biggest, leap forward for websites where everything is personalized based on you as a consumer, not necessarily based on the masses of the audience that you're bringing to the site. But I think that'll be the same across both Shopify and Webflow, and really any platform out there. It's that dynamic experience based on you to help you buy exactly what you want to buy the first time.
So you see in the near future, like I go to a website, I make a purchase. Now that actual business has my contact information, they know my name, they know my email, they know all that information. When I come back to the website, when I hit the landing page, maybe I dynamically have my name placed on the headline with only highlighted products around what I've purchased before. Yeah, I love that. I mean, the capability's kind of there on Meta when it comes to advertising, dynamic ad placements. You know what I
Getting
mean?
there.
It's getting
Yep.
there. It's not on the website side. So that's a great overview. I believe that you're 100% correct. I also believe that there's going to be a VR implementation somewheres in here into the near future, right? I believe that we're going to have the capability of pulling things from a website and seeing it in real life, which we're seeing a little bit now.
Yeah, it's out there a little bit.
But it still hasn't really brought on. I think Mark Zuckerberg overshot the metaverse a little, right?
A little
Yeah,
bit. A little bit.
yeah, a little bit. But I love that overview. I think, and I've heard it from a lot of different business owners too about the desire for privacy from the consumer, but also the connectivity from the business to the consumer, right? So people want to own their data. And when they give their data to you, they want to make sure that you're owning it and using it in the right way. And that would be an amazing way to do it, having dynamic product placement, name structuring on the landing page once you have the consumer's data. You got to figure out how to do that.
If you want to partner on, I'm not opposed to that at all.
I mean,
But no, I think for reals though, I think that just the experience that people are going to have, right? It's going to help with your product discovery. So, one thing we see a lot of businesses having a hard time with is, they have their core product, their flagship products, but it's really hard for people to even find other products in the store, especially in the bigger catalog. So how can I push newer products? How can I actually see, my bestseller is my bestseller because it is the bestseller, not because it's the one that I'm pushing the hardest on. You can start having a better experience. It's also going to increase your lifetime value, right? There's brands out there that I want to go buy more from, but I don't know what else to buy. Right? I don't know what goes good with what I already bought. So why don't you show me what's going to go good with what you already know I own? So if you think of it that way, you can start getting very creative. And I think that's really going to start going from, business to consumer to a community and really like building like a brand hero, right? That's how you're going to get a hero out of your customer.
I love that. I love that. Let's help out the listeners a little bit. For the Shopify owners out there, do you have maybe 2 or 3 apps or plugins that you would recommend for Shopify that you use regularly that they could add to their website?
Yeah, a few. We love our apps. I would say we don't use a ton of apps because honestly, most apps are overkill. So there are some that we really do like, but I would say we use on majority of projects. So after selling Upcart, those are some really good ones. Love our post purchase upsells. We love those. A good cart honestly makes a huge difference. We just actually did a test a couple weeks ago. Craziest thing I've ever seen. No joke. Like not even joking. Conversions went up like 90% just from having Upcart, from a better cart. Granted, the stock cart was not very good. It was pretty rough. But just by having a better cart and a better, like, okay, I'm ready to actually complete my purchase now, made such a big difference in the overall shopping experience. I think a lot of people underestimate the importance of a cart. So that'll be number one. Number two, I'm gonna go if you're pushing ads out on multiple platforms and you're really looking to get to that next level, it's very popular. We love Triple Whale though. I think Triple Whale is a fantastic platform. I think it works incredibly well. So that would be a good one. Reviews, social proof is everything. We all know that. I'm not going to harp on that too much. There are some really good review tools out there. I'm a huge fan of Looks. I think it looks no pun intended, or maybe a little pun intended there. I think it looks incredible, and it's very buildable, right? It's one of those tools that it doesn't always feel like an app. One of my biggest complaints with apps is they look like apps, right? And you go in there and you're like, "Ugh, it's not part of the store. Like I can tell it's separate." I think Looks does a really good job with making it feel like it's its own thing. One thing also for the business owner out there who's maybe not ready to hire a development agency, they're not ready to hire, more of a CRO partner. We've been using Replo and it's been incredible. So I absolutely love Replo. I think it works very well. With Replo, you can start building out landing pages. You can build out better product pages, much better design stuff to actually build onto your store. It's pretty easy to do. They have templates and stuff like that in there that work very well. So especially for that newer business owner, I think that's a really good tool. So.
Nicholas, I mean, a bunch of amazing tools. And for those guys that they don't know this, Triple Whale is an attribution tool that will help you understand where your money's going and the return that you're getting. And every other tool that he mentioned was how to optimize the look and feel of your actual website. The only other one that I'd add in there is Lifetimely. It's one of my favorite tools as a marketer inside of there, just to see the consumer flow, what they're purchasing, their lifetime value, and kind of the flow of the purchase buying too. So,
Yeah.
dude, awesome. I got to ask you, you're on top of your stuff. You know what you're talking about. You understand these platforms. How do you find your Kaizen? So for the business owners and the listeners out there, Kaizen is a Japanese business philosophy that means 1% improvement every single day in both business and in self. Personally, I'm an athlete. I'm a professional paintball player. I work every single morning. I train really hard. And that's how I keep physically my mind and in the point that I need to be. But then mentally for development, Common Thread Collective is my YouTube page. I'm reading blogs, listening to podcasts nonstop and developing within the marketing world to kind of stay on top of it. But for you specifically in the website space, is there a YouTube page or a book or anything that you do specifically to find your Kaizen?
Yeah, I'm actually going to challenge consuming media a little bit because I think that when you consume it, it's already a little bit too late. You're not going to be on the first person to do it. One thing that our team and I've instilled with our team very, very, very aggressively is don't be afraid to try new things. So we try a lot of stuff. We try a lot of offers. We try a lot of different strategies. Don't be afraid to try new things. I think that's the best way to learn. I can tell you how to do something, but by me telling you how to do something, you don't know the why. And I like to know the why something works. I want to know what actually made this change. And so for me, to get 1% better, it's like you got to try new things. If you're always staying in your own lane, your own box all the time, you're not going to expand your box because you're in your box, right? To get better, you need to try new things. You need to go and sharpen your craft. So for me, actually, I love that you're a professional paintball player. I was a professional cyclist before I started this agency. And it's the same kind of thing. You don't know if something's going to be better unless you try it. Now, I can tell you, hey, Kyle, you need to go and try this strategy in your next paintball match. But if you do it and it doesn't work, you're gonna be like, well, it didn't work. I'm like, well, maybe you should try it like this. Maybe that didn't quite work for you. So for me, the best thing you can do is really just try new things, right? It is a trial and error, especially if you are the first person to do something, right? If you have an idea, every business is unique. Try and apply it in your business. If you see someone else doing something, right? I look at websites all day long. Literally all I do. I'm on calls, I'm looking at a website. We see a lot of different things. And so one thing I think that a lot of business owners also do, and I think for me that is special, well, maybe not special, but something I spend a lot of time doing is looking at different industries, right? So how can I take something from this industry and apply it to this industry? I think that's something that we don't see enough of, and especially in the marketing space. We get so locked in on, CPG is CPG and outdoor is outdoor and, pet supplies are pet supplies and all that kind of stuff. It's like, okay, well, what can we take from this business and apply it to over here? Or go even crazier. What can I take from, a home service business and apply to my pet brand, right? There's these different kinds of marketing strategies that different industries incorporate. Trying new things, right? Like, I don't think people try new things enough. And I think that's probably the best way to get better is to actually try it. Worst case scenario, you fail and you learn that didn't work and you try something else.
Nicholas,
But I think
I
that's the best.
love that, man. I mean, honestly, it explains why your business is such on the cutting edge, right? Why it's on top of Webflow. It's why it's Shopify understanding these tools and how to advance Shopify to where it is today. It's because you're testing and you have no fear of failure. You have just a desire to. And so many golden nuggets in what you just brought up. Simon Sinek's ideology of why and the golden circle and really understanding your why and how you bring that in is a great way to develop. And then, as you said, I really love Russell Brunson's newest book, The Linchpin, and that ideology of the subscription model, and looking at that specific concept and bringing that across so many different industries, just like what you're doing at looking at different websites and bringing that concept across different industries. It gives you the opportunity to not only learn, progress, but also be able to push yourself to new boundaries, which is how you find your improvement. Man, I couldn't agree more. I have one more bonus question for you. Have you ever heard the book Atlas Shrugs?
Atlas Shrugged, I have not.
It's a super long book. For the
Okay.
listeners there, if you haven't read it before, super long, but the basis and the premise of the book is extremely powerful, and it's one of my favorite. The concept is that all the business owners in the world, you, me, everyone listening right now, we put the world on our shoulders and we move the world forward every single day. Without business, the world does not change, does not evolve. An idea is great, but until you put into an operations and you have a system behind it and you leverage it every single day and you have practice behind it, it doesn't move the world. And what that is business. So the book Atlas Shrugged talked about what happens if you, me, and all the other business owners out there just shrugged it off and said, we do not want to do this anymore. We're not running business anymore. We're regular every employee. So my question to you, Nicholas, is that say today Atlas Shrugged, and you, me, everyone out there, the restaurant owners, the home improvement business, we just walk away from their business. The restaurants are still there. The materials for home improvement still exist. What would be the first business that you would start tomorrow?
Oh man, that's a tough one. Transportation,
Transportation. Why?
because there's a lot of world out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. I don't want to be stuck at my house. I want to go try new things, and I think that getting into different communities and different places, I think that's going to be a big thing. And honestly, that's one of the things that scares me about the world now. Like we're all working from home. You know, we don't leave the house enough. You don't go and go to new places enough. And I think that's an industry, even without Atlas Shrugs, I think that's an industry that probably could use some help in itself. So transportation.
Yeah, definitely a worldly individual. I love that, Nicholas. It's a great answer, right? And I've heard every answer from like, well, if that happens, I need to have my coffee. So I'm starting a coffee shop right away. Or I need to be working out, so I'm going to build a gym, right? But the ability for you having the desire to see the world and look past the lens that you currently are restricted by is the same concept that you have behind your business at 253 Media and why you guys are expanding and doing so good. And at a cutting edge of these platforms and finding how to use them the best way possible, not just to look good, but to convert the customers into sales. So if you're a listener to this and you've listened through this already, Nick, tell them how they can connect with you. What's the best way for them to find you?
Absolutely. It's just Nicholas Reed on LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm super active there. Drop me a line through our website at 253media.com, or just message me on social. So I'll get you there.
Perfect. All of that's going to be found just below in the description. You'll find all his details. Nick, thank you so much for the time. New listeners, if you've gotten this far, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Go and contact Nick directly if you're looking for a Shopify or Webflow store that is not only going to look beautiful, but again, is going to bring revenue back into your business. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate your time, and we'll see everybody on the next one.